Hi, I'm Becky, a cataloger with the St. Paul Public Library, and when I need to refocus all my scattered thoughts into low stakes but still absorbing drama, I dig into a good mystery. Today I'm going to introduce 4 books featuring unexpected detectives. So these are not your typical private eyes or members of law enforcement, but rather people who, through by chance, circumstance, or simple curiosity, find themselves confronted with a mystery. First up is The Thursday Murder Club by author Richard Osman. Kate Atkinson calls this book a little beacon of pleasure in the midst of the gloom. Such fun, and it is. There are multiple and simultaneous storylines, light humor, complex and interesting characters, and unorthodox methods of getting to the truth. Our sleuths are residents at Cooper's Chase, a retirement community in England, and members of what they call the Thursday Murder Club, which meets to discuss true unsolved murders. Elizabeth, Joyce, Ibrahim, and Ron make up the club and are a foursome who likely wouldn't have crossed paths prior to their move to Cooper's Chase, coming from very different backgrounds and professions. When the Thursday Murder Club unexpectedly finds itself embroiled in a live murder case, their combined skills, experiences, and personalities are effective enough to frustrate the actual detectives assigned to the case. Once the club begins to collaborate in earnest with law enforcement, questions both big and small are answered. This is a satisfying and enjoyable read and a peek into the social landscape of present-day England. Switching gears from the bucolic English countryside, next up is Hollywood Homicide, written by Kelly Garrett, a former TV writer and magazine editor who certainly knows her way around Los Angeles. Her heroine, Dana Anderson, becomes an amateur sleuth strictly out of necessity and chance. She happens to witness a hit and run that results in a young woman's death, and months later, desperate for cash, responds to a plea for tips on catching the killer. Dana is on a losing streak with her professional life as an actress, stuck in limbo with her love life, and is such a winning character that you root for her no matter how many crazy chances she takes. She's bold, brave, loyal, and impulsive to a fault, frequently leaping into action before even beginning to formulate a plan. But her improvisation in those moments, born from natural acting talent, makes for many of the best laugh-out-loud scenes in the book. Dana is supported by a close-knit group of friends as well as a potential love interest, Omari, whose Hollywood star is on the rise. This is such a fun, dynamic group, and it's a treat to zip from thrift stores and diners to movie premieres and palatial Beverly Hills homes with them as they unravel the mystery. Dana develops her sleuthing skills through some unexpected twists and intriguing turns. I would recommend this to anyone who enjoys a bit of humor with their whodunits, and if you like this one, there is another in this series called Hollywood Ending. My next pick is Antipoldi and the Sicilian Lions by Mario Giordano, which is the first in the Antipoldi series. Antipoldi's crime-solving adventures are narrated with warmth and humor by her unnamed nephew, a struggling writer who is a frequent house guest at her vibrant place on the sunny Sicilian coast. At the beginning of the novel, it's understood that Antipoldi, a rather eccentric and melancholy personality, has decided to emigrate from Germany to Italy with the intention of drinking the remainder of her days away with a nice sea view. A former costume designer, she has a stylistic flair, but she settles into an unassuming little village in Sicily, finds the local watering hole, and begins to remodel her new home. When her normally reliable new handyman Valentino goes missing, Antipoldi attempts to track him down and quickly finds herself swept up in a murder investigation. Undeterred by potential danger, Antipoldi teams up with the detective assigned to the case, Vito Montana, and sparks fly. As we enter another cold winter here in Minnesota, I especially enjoyed settling into August in Sicily, where neighbors share gelato and espresso, and Mount Etna and the Mediterranean Sea provide an evocative background to all the action. My last pick is from my personal favorite cozy and classic mystery series, Miss Marple. Agatha Christie's famous elderly spinster/detective extraordinaire proves her mettle in A Murder is Announced. One of the appeals of the Miss Marple series is how those around her, excepting a few detective inspectors who have had the good fortune to see her in action, consistently underestimate her. That's lucky for her, as victims, villains, and professional detectives let slip all kinds of things in her presence, never expecting that she has the shrewdness and intelligence to piece together all the details until she has a satisfying whole. Jane Marple has never married and lives in a quaint English village called St. Mary Mead. She's a product of the Victorian age, and others, especially her nephew, a famous novelist, dismiss her as having little exposure to the real world. The world of jealousy and greed, passion and murder. In fact, small villages too are part of the real world, and Jane Marple recognizes the personalities, motivations, and methods that abound in her little village all over England and beyond. A Murder is Announced brings the everyday routine and rhythms of a quaint village to life, starting with the morning run of the paper boy, who is whistling between his teeth as he bikes through the village to drop off that day's paper, which features a most unusual announcement. A murder will take place that night at Little Paddocks, an unassuming home with an otherwise intriguing assortment of occupants. Is it a joke, a hoax? When it turns out to be deadly serious, a group of villagers find themselves unlikely suspects in a young man's death, and soon Miss Marple is on the case, sipping tea with the right people at the right time, picking up clues here and there, and using her insight into human nature to solve a series of puzzling crimes. Thanks for listening, and if any of these titles pique your interest, you can check them out at the St. Paul Public Library in print or ebook form.